So today I want to talk to you about the key numbers in your business. So from my point of view, it's really important that you know all the key numbers in your business. The only way to keep on top of your business and know where you're going is to know your numbers. And whilst it might seem scary, I think it's really important to know. And you can't be a long time in business and growing your business if you don't really know what your numbers are. Now, we can start with some of the easy stuff, if you like. I think you should know how much time you're spending on things. So things like how much time you spend on client work, how much time you're spending down a social media rabbit hole, how much time you're actually working. So I think we all like to think that we work like, you might say, well, I work school hours, it's 9 till 3. Well, is it 9 till 3? Are you back at 9:15 or 9:30? And actually you're leaving at 2:30. So really you've only got kind of 5 hours, not 6. And what are you looking at actually doing with your time? Do you have a lunch break, which is a good thing, but it means you need to be earning more for all the client hours that you have. I recommend you use something like Toggl, which you spell Toggl. And I think it's a really useful way of knowing what you do with your time. Do it for a week. Do it for a typical week. Look at what you do with your client time, but also look at what you're doing with all your other time, how much you actually work. And it can be a little bit scary to know actually that if you worked however many hours you worked in a month and how much revenue, which we'll come on to in a minute, you earned, how much you actually made in that month per day or per hour. And I think it can be quite a shocking thing to see that actually for the number of hours you work, you're really not earning very much. The next thing we're going to look at is cash. Okay, so they always say revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, but cash is king. So you have to be careful of looking at other things in your business. Cash is really, really important. If you haven't got cash, you can't pay for anything. And cash is literally what is in your bank today. So you can open up your banking app and you can say, that is the cash I've got in the bank. Okay, but you need to remember that that doesn't include things that you might owe people and also things that people owe you. So today you might say, right, okay, well, I've billed all these clients, they haven't paid yet. Well, that's not money in your bank account yet. It'll be recognized as a sale, but it's not money in your bank account. And the same with people you need to pay. So a lot of stuff you'll pay on credit card, which means it comes out immediately. But just remember things. And I think if you are VAT registered or you're paying payroll, it's remembering that you need to keep that amount of money in the bank. And I always recommend that you keep about 3 months worth of costs in your bank balance, in your bank account, so that you can save that money and keep it aside, plus your tax. And if you're self-employed, that's about 30%. And if you are a limited company, keep 20%, plus you need to keep your personal tax side as well. Then we're going to look at the profit and loss account. So in your accounts, you have a profit and loss account and you have a balance sheet. So profit and loss account is basically the income and the outgoings of your business. And then on the balance sheet, you're sat with assets and liabilities, which we'll come to in a bit. So on the profit and loss, this is your income. So this is people you have invoiced and things you have paid out that are costs to you. Okay, so sales, revenue, turnover, whatever you want to call it, they're all the same thing. But that is where you have raised a sales invoice to the customer. Okay, that doesn't mean they've paid it, but you have raised that to the customer. So you've raised £1,000 invoice, that goes into your profit and loss account as revenue or sales. And then the same on the other side, if you are paying out for something, so you buy a course, that money comes out of your profit and loss account because that counts as an expense, as an overhead. And you should check to make sure that you're claiming everything you can. There's all sorts of things that you can make sure you claim. But yeah, it's quite a long list. So make sure you're claiming what you can for you particularly as a sole trader, I think. So as a limited company, I think it's much easier. But the rule of thumb is wholly using the expense wholly and exclusively for your business. So if you are having a subscription to something that you will only use in your business, is fine. But if you're buying an outfit for an event that you could wear again, that doesn't count. So you can't claim that as a business expense. So you have to be really careful what you're doing. It has to be what's called wholly and exclusively in the running of your business. So traveling to a client, that will be absolutely a wholly and exclusively event in your business. And you can claim working from home allowances, which are also important. So if you're a product business, you might have cost of goods sold, which is where you have expenses that are only incurred if you make a sale. Okay, so these are direct expenses. So in a product business, that is the cost of making the product. And in a service business, that might be the outsourced work that you do. So it might be that you say, well, I'll take on this piece of client work, but this bit always goes to another freelancer, for example. And that passing of it across only happens if you get the sale. So it's not a fixed position. So it's what's called variable, and it really moves with if you get that client, you'll need to outsource that, but you don't have to pay that person if you don't get that work. And then on the other side, you've got what's called overheads. So they are all the things that you pay regardless. You pay for your Zoom, you pay for your Gmail, you pay for your virtual assistant, who you pay regardless. So these are all kind of fixed costs that even if you didn't do any business, you have to pay in your business. And I think, you know, the main thing with that is, particularly if you're starting out, you're small, is to try and keep that contained as much as you can. You know, really look at those fixed things and kind of go, well, how much does it cost? If I don't turn it, if I have to be out of my business for 3 months, what is that going to look like? Because that can get really expensive if you're paying for things like coaching. You know, you've got a virtual assistant, you've maybe got a social media manager, you maybe do a podcast, you know, all of those things start to really add up. It's something that I really had to look at last year when I was ill and discovered that actually my costs were really, really high, and I just pared everything back, and I'm only now really thinking about kind of what I can put back in and what's worth it, but I need to be earning more. So part of that is looking then at your profit, and what you want to see is that you are making more, that your profit is positive, basically. So your profit is basically your sales less your costs, gives you your profit in simplest terms. And you want to be making sure that you are making a profit, because otherwise that will affect your cash. Because if you're not getting enough, if you're paying out more than you're getting in, you're not going to have enough cash. And also the profit, for most of us, the profit is what we pay ourselves, because you're often not paying yourself a salary, so it doesn't come in as an overhead. But I want you to start thinking about paying yourself as an overhead in your business. So if you want to pay yourself £1,000 a month, that is a fixed cost that you're going to pay, and you need to be charging enough to make that happen. So I hope this is helpful. I think that it's really important for you to understand how your business numbers are put together. I think knowing how much time you're spending in your business and how much you make per hour is really important. If you don't know already, I have a pricing calculator. I also can help you understand your business numbers. That's kind of what I do. So I've got things like power hours. There are also other metrics that you might want to consider in your business. Things like conversion rates on your email list or on your sales leads. So how much time and also how much time you spend converting a client. You know, how much does the average client spend with you? How long do they stay with you? If you've got a membership or something, how long do they stay with you? You know, those sorts of things are all a big indicator. Because so for example, if your customers don't stay with you very long, actually, so your membership turns over very quickly, let's say, you're spending a lot of time getting people in the front end, but actually you're losing people just as quickly out the bottom end. And it's like, well, how do I stop that? So actually your energy might need to be focused on how to stop that happening, rather than trying to keep getting more people in the front end. So it's really important to understand what some of those other metrics are also in your business, I think, to make sure that you understand where your energy needs to go. And also making time to spend time on your business, understanding your numbers so that you know where you're going and what you want to do with it. So I hope you found this helpful, and let me know. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon.